Hey guys, today we are doing a foot and lower leg follow on. We're going to begin with calves and then we're moving on to some release work before we get into some other movements. Remember, calves are controlled articular rotations, so this is all down to how far you can move your joint. It's not to say it has to look exactly like mine, it can be different. Just make sure you're staying within comfortable and controlled ranges. That's what matters the most. So to begin with, I'm going to do ankle calves. I'm wearing my toe spacers. You don't have to, but it does help. It helps you actually access a little bit more muscle, and you will feel much more relief if you start doing a little bit of training with them on. Obviously, if you've never done that before, do adapt to them first. But to begin with ankle calves, I'm going to bring my leg over my arm and hold my other arm up so that I'm comfortable. This seems like a complex setup, but once you get here, you really don't have any pressure and it's quite relaxing. So from here, I can feel my shin bone, whether it's rotating, and this is going to help me understand whether I'm compensating or not. So to begin with, I'm simply coming up and drawing a very large circle using my toes. And I say toes first because it's easier to think about in that way. If you're thinking of your ankle moving, it gets a little bit complicated. You can actually visually follow your toes around. This is where I'm at the moment in terms of range and control. I'm trying to take it nice and slowly and really concentrate on engaging all the muscles that control my ankle. So I've just done 3 on one side. I'm now going to do 3 on the other, and I'm going to move on to the other side. So as I mentioned before, holding here, you can feel your shin bone. So if I was to start compensating, my shin bone would be rotating, and I'll be able to feel this with my hand. And what we're aiming for is to really isolate the ankle movement so that our shin bone is not rotating around and basically allowing your knee to help you a little bit there. That's what we're going to do next, is we're moving on to knee calves, and I'll explain how that works. So that is 3 on one side. I'm now going to take it around the other way. Very tempting to speed up as you go, so try your best to take your time. And you'll notice the slower you go, the more you can feel. Okay, so with knee calves, I often hear a lot of people complaining about pains in the back of the heel or the back of the knee, and that they can't fully straighten the leg. That's normal to begin with, and I struggled with that as well, and I still don't fully extend anyway. So to begin with, I'm simply going to rotate side to side. So the exact thing that I was asking you not to do before, I now want you to do that. I now want you to feel your shin bone moving side to side, and try not to compensate now with your ankle, so it's the opposite way around. Of course, there'll be a little bit of compensation because it's hard to stop yourself, but we're aiming for moving the shin bone. So first we're just moving side to side. Next we're going to do the calves. So same setup. I'm going to bring my arm underneath so that I'm comfortable. I'm going to rotate my foot so that it's pointing to the midline of my body. Straighten the leg as far as I'm comfy to go. Then rotate out the way, and then I'm coming back down. So from here, rotate, and back the way I came. So I'm, for example, feeling all these tightnesses that people do talk about. I'm simply stopping before it gets too tight and too uncomfortable. And again, we're going to do 3 of these. Okay, so if you have really tight hamstrings, there's another option. You can actually sit yourself down onto something higher than the floor, or you can even sit yourself on something higher and just play around with the ranges so that you can find that point where your hamstrings aren't uncomfortable. From here, I'm in a completely different position now, but I'm still doing the calves. So we're still going to work on doing 3 nice and slow reps. And if you found the position before comfortable, then of course just stick to that one. Okay, so next exercise, we're going to do toe Mexican waves, which are some of my favorite exercises. We're going to bring all the toes up at the same time, and then one by one, bring the toes down. And the last thing we're doing is pushing the big toes in, bringing all the little toes up, then all the toes up, And again, we're going to do 5 to 10 of these depending on your experience. So if you've never done them, try 5 because you might actually get quite achy feet. Again, another reason I love wearing the toe spacers when doing this kind of training, because you definitely do feel more going on in your feet than if you don't have them on. You really do have access to more range. I'm going to do a bit of a release work. If you feel like this is not really doing anything for you, feel free to just skip across it and then move on. But we're just going to do a little bit to help us gain that little bit more range in the muscles. All right, so first I'm using my 8-ball from the toe spacers, as it's got ridges and it's got a little bit in the middle here that I can grab that I can get my foot into. I'm just going to roll my feet for approximately a minute each side. Next, we're going to roll the shins. So this is the least comfortable version of rolling, but this is why I'm kneeling on this knee, and I don't have a huge amount of my weight on here. I do have a dog in my face though. Okay. So also, as you can see, I've rotated my leg to the side, so I'm not directly on top of it straight on where it's going to just roll my bone, and that's going to be very uncomfortable and not very helpful. Instead, I'm leaning to the side here, getting into that meaty part of the shin. Okay, same concept here. If you guys feel nothing, continue and don't bother with the rolling part. Or if you feel like you do need it, do anything between 15 seconds to 2 minutes, and just pause the video, take your time, and then come back to it. All right, so considering we actually managed to roll our shins, we're now going to try to release them and stretch them a little bit. So I'm going to go into a plantar flexion stretch here and straighten my leg by squeezing my quad. If this is already too much here, feel free to just do a passive stretch, but we're going to actually activate by squeezing the quad and releasing. Then do 5 of these aside. And then if you guys find this easy and it's not painful for you, I'm going to try the next version, which is a bit of strengthening. So I'm going to sit myself onto my feet. If you find this uncomfortable already and you don't want to push it further, this is plenty. You can actually from here squeeze your toes into the ground like you're trying to do this, but actually not lift yourself up. Or if you feel ready for it, you can place your fingertips onto the ground to take some of your weight and bring yourself up into a hover, squeezing and pushing your feet into the ground. So this can be quite intense, so only do this if you've worked your way up to it. I'm going to do 5 reps only, 2 times, and then we're moving on to calf work. So like I said, if you find this too hard, simply skip this or simply use this time to sit on your feet and get comfortable sitting on your feet, because this is quite a tough thing for some people. It will eventually get better though, especially with practice. All right, so the last set of exercises that we're doing are different stances of calf raises so that we can hit different parts of the calf. So you can hold on to something on the wall if you like, and if you want to increase this, you can actually stand on the edge of a step so that you have a decline. So something like using a plate would work. Just gonna show you. There we go. So if I stand on the edge of this, I can now get that stretch in as well. So I'm actually only going to do 8 reps with an isometric hold. And I'm going to keep my ankles together, so without letting them splay out like this. And on the 8th rep, 2 more to go, I'm going to do an isometric hold for 5 seconds. Okay, slowly lower down. Of course, you could do this on a flat ground, so you don't have to do it on a decline. That's just an extra level. Okay, so the next one is the pigeon-footed version. Really cool. So you're going to bring your toes together and heels out. And again, we're doing 8 reps with a 5-second isometric hold. All right, so if you're struggling with the version where your feet are straight and your ankles are turning out at the top and you're struggling to keep that stability, Use a ball, any ball will do, place it between the heels, and now aim to not drop the ball as you're doing the reps. Okay, so last one, we're going to have our feet in the ballet position, which again is super cool. Heels together, letting them drop into that stretch, and again 8 reps, 5-second isometric hold on the last rep. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed that, please subscribe and give us a thumbs up or a comment. If you are interested in learning more about joint function and mobility training for the whole body, we are running a 4-week mobility challenge. So every week you get a PDF information pack with information about how the joints function and why it matters. And you also get a free workout along with it, and you just have to click the link below in the description to sign up for free.